What if I told you the ground beneath your life is already shifting, and most people never notice until it cracks wide open? That's the call out. And here's the truth. Change never arrives wearing a name tag. It doesn't send you an email or book a meeting. It shows up disguised as restlessness, as disappearing friends, as chaos that doesn't make sense until later. It's like standing in a house where the walls look solid, but the foundation has already started to tilt. You don't see the movement, you feel it in your bones. In this video, we'll walk through 8 clear signals that your life is preparing to transform. Each signal is a lens, and together they form the compass you didn't know you had. And if you stay with me, by the time we reach the later part of this journey, I'll give you something rare, a practice, a gift you can carry out of this video like a secret map, one that most men never receive. So let me ask you, before we begin, if life is already speaking to you through whispers and cracks, are you willing to listen closely and test which of these signs belongs to you today? Sign 1. Restlessness that refuses to be ignored. You wake up, the calendar is full, the paycheck is steady, and yet something inside you whispers, this isn't it. That whisper is not boredom. That whisper is the crack in the dam warning you before the flood arrives. Most people call it midlife crisis. I call it a compass. Because restlessness isn't the enemy, it's the indicator that your current skin is too tight for the man you have become. Think of a snake before it sheds. The scales itch, not because the snake is sick, but because growth has already started. I remember sitting in a glossy conference room, tie pulled tight, nodding at slides I didn't believe in. Everyone else was smiling. I felt like an imposter in my own body. That unease didn't ruin my career. It rescued me from staying asleep in it. The world tells you restlessness means you're ungrateful. In reality, it's proof that your destiny has already outgrown your surroundings. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Restlessness is your mind refusing to settle for a life that no longer fits. Practice for today. Write a short no more list. 3 things you will no longer pretend to enjoy. Circle 1 and cut it from your life within 48 hours. Small cuts prove to your soul you're listening. Reflection. If your restlessness is not a flaw but a signal, what is the one area of your life, work, home, or self that feels one size too small right now? Sign 2. Losing people rapidly. When your life is about to change, people start disappearing. Not quietly, not neatly. Sometimes they fade. Sometimes they cut sharp. Sometimes they betray. At first, it feels like punishment, but it's not. It's pruning. I once watched a colleague I trusted suddenly grow distant when I started speaking more directly in meetings. At home, an old friend stopped returning calls the moment I stopped drinking with him every Friday. For a while, I asked myself, what did I do wrong? The harder truth was this: nothing. I was simply no longer the man they were comfortable standing beside. It's like climbing a mountain. Some companions can only breathe at lower altitudes. As you rise, they gasp, they resist, and eventually, they let go. If you force them to stay, you'll carry dead weight, and that weight will drag you down. Most men panic when this happens. They chase, they beg, they cling to relationships that are already gone. But losing people is not failure. It's the universe filtering your circle, keeping only those strong enough to walk the next mile with you. If this is hitting home already, take a second to like this video so YouTube keeps bringing you messages you actually need. So ask yourself now, who in your life is already slipping away? And instead of chasing them, could you let them go and trust the space they leave behind? Sign 3. Strange synchronicities keep showing up. You glance at the clock, almost 11:11. Later that day, a stranger repeats the exact phrase you've been wrestling with. The next morning, a billboard carries the same word. Coincidence? Maybe once. But when life starts repeating itself, it's not decoration, it's direction. I had a client who, within 1 month, asked me the same question I had heard from 3 completely unrelated people. That was the moment I realized the world wasn't mocking me. It was pointing me toward the work I was meant to do. Think of it like footsteps echoing in a canyon. One sound feels random, but when you hear the echo again and again, it means you're in the right chamber, on the right trail. Most men ignore these nudges. They call them silly, superstitious. But the truth is, synchronicity is feedback, the alignment between your attention and your future. The more you notice, the louder it becomes. And if you dismiss it long enough, you'll miss the door it was trying to show you. Life doesn't send you polite emails. It prefers pop-up ads in your head at 3 a.m. So I'll ask you now, what pattern has been circling you this month? And if you treated it like a command instead of a coincidence, what would you do differently tomorrow? Sign 4. Unexpected opportunities appear out of nowhere. You're moving through an ordinary week, nothing dramatic, and then suddenly a door opens. A message arrives about a role you never applied for. A neighbor mentions a space that happens to fit your quiet idea. A stranger at the airport complains about a problem you already know how to solve. Opportunities don't ring the bell politely. They kick the door while you're still doubting yourself. I once ignored an invitation because I thought I wasn't ready. Weeks later, someone else seized it and built the very project I had dreamed about. That was the moment I realized the perfect time never shows up wearing a badge. The door opens when you least expect it, and it closes just as fast. Think of it like catching a train. It won't sit at the station forever waiting for you to finish your excuses. Either you step in or you watch it disappear. The world tells you to wait for confidence first. Contrarian truth, courage is rented by action. You earn confidence after you move, not before. So ask yourself, what door has been standing open in your life? And what would it cost you if you kept pretending not to see it? Sign 5. A sudden urge to reinvent yourself. Out of nowhere, you feel pulled to try something new, a different road to work, a hobby that never interested you before, a skill that seems random, woodwork, cooking, learning a new language. Most men brush it off as a phase, but what if it's not a distraction? What if it's a preview? For me, it began years earlier. I had always admired the feel of wood, the smell of it being shaped, but I ignored that pull while my career was climbing and money was flowing. Then came the collapse. In the wreckage, I was taken in by Kai, a quiet woodshop owner. He didn't preach, just placed tools in my hands, and what seemed random became the doorway back to myself. Think of a seed cracking open. From the outside, it looks like destruction. From the inside, it's destiny. That's what these urges are. Your future self breaking the shell of your current life. Society says to wait until you have a clear plan, until you know exactly where it leads. Contrarian truth, clarity is born from movement, not from waiting. And because action creates clarity, let me give you something rare, a ritual you'll carry for years, not just another practice for today. Tonight, take 1 sheet of paper and write a letter dated exactly 2 years from today. Write it as if your future self is speaking back to you, beginning with the words, "I'm proud you finally." Seal it in an envelope, but don't hide it away. Place it somewhere you'll see every single me. On your desk beside your bed or taped inside the closet door. Each glance will remind you that a future version of you is waiting, watching, expecting. And when those 2 years arrive, opening that letter will prove you already knew the path long before you walked it. And when you write that letter, drop a comment here with just one word, written, so I know you've made that promise to yourself. And while you wait for that day to come, ask yourself, which small urge in your life right now could be the first step toward the man in that letter? Sign 6. Obstacles multiply all at once. Just when you think you're finally breaking through, the ground shakes. Projects collapse. People withdraw. Doors slam shut, one after another. Most men panic here. They think the universe has turned hostile. But often this is the pressure right before the diamond is born. The bigger the blessing, the bigger the test. And if you run now, you'll never know what was waiting one step beyond the pain. I've lived it. Every plan failing at the same time, every door refusing to open. Looking back, those storms didn't destroy me. They stripped me down until only the essential remained. That furnace shaped a man who could carry the weight of the next chapter. But here's the wisdom. Not every obstacle means push harder. Some are signals to pause, to ask if the battle still belongs to you. The test is twofold. First, endurance. Will you keep going when it's hard? Second, discernment. Will you recognize when resistance is protecting you from a path that no longer fits? Think of it like a river. Sometimes the current tests your strength, daring you to cross. Other times, the current warns you, this isn't your crossing point. True strength is knowing the difference. So let me ask you, which of your current obstacles is life's way of testing your resolve, and which is its way of asking you to finally change direction? Sign 7. Seeing people and situations with brutal clarity. It begins quietly. You notice a smile that feels forced, a compliment with a sting hidden inside, a conversation that suddenly sounds hollow. What you once accepted without question now looks different under sharper light. Clarity is arriving, and it refuses to be unlearned. I sat once at a dinner table where everyone laughed at a cruel joke about a mutual friend. For years, I would have laughed too, just to belong. That night, the laugh caught in my throat. I couldn't force it anymore. Clarity had shifted the ground. The moment you see the truth, you lose the privilege of pretending. This is the moment where illusions start to crumble. The friend who only called when he needed something. The colleague who pretended loyalty while sharpening envy. The routine that once felt safe but now feels suffocating. It hits you hard. Things weren't as pure as you thought. They were convenient, conditional, temporary. The world will tell you it's easier to ignore, but truth denied becomes poison. The Stoics knew this. Seneca wrote, "The first step towards healing is to expose the wound." Seeing clearly is painful, but it is also liberation. So I'll ask you now, where in your life are you still pretending not to see? And what would happen if you finally admitted the truth? Sign 8. Calm appears even in Chow. Everything is shaking, plans unravel, friendships slip, routines collapse. And yet, beneath all of it, a strange calm rises inside you. It doesn't come after the storm. It comes in it. This calm is not apathy. It is authority. I once sat stranded in an airport while flights were being canceled left and right. Around me, people shouted at staff, cursed the sky, drowned in panic. I opened a book, breathed slowly, and thought, if I can be calm here, I can be calm anywhere. That small moment taught me peace isn't a prize you wait for, it's a weapon you carry. Most men confuse calm with passivity, as if being steady means doing nothing. But real calm is action without frenzy. It is the clarity to choose 1 inch you can move, while others waste their strength fighting what they can't control. Epictetus reminded us, It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Practice this today. 3 times, stop for 2 minutes. Close your eyes, exhale longer than you inhale, and ask one question: what is the next controllable inch? Then move only that inch. That's how calm turns into progress. So I'll ask you, in the storm you're standing in right now, what would change if you carried calm as a tool instead of waiting for it as a reward? If even one of these 8 signs has stirred something in you, don't brush it aside. Change rarely arrives with trumpets. It comes quietly, disguised as restlessness, loss, chaos, or calm. But if you've noticed these signals, your life is already shifting. The only question left is whether you'll meet it awake or let it pass while you sleepwalk. I want you to carry this with you. You are not late. You are not broken. You are exactly on time for the next honest thing. Tell me, which of these signs is showing up in your life right now? Share it below, not as confession, but as commitment. And if this video spoke to you, pass it to one man who carries his battles silently. And of course, subscribe, because the next video may carry the one sign you've been waiting for.